So we'll go into Journey Builder and just go pick up on the journey we created yesterday. So it was this one where we used Salesforce data as our entry source. So we're going to, you already know this, folks, to create or to make changes to an existing journey that's running, you have to create a new version. We can't make changes to version 2 or version 1. We can only pause or stop version 2 or version 1. But if you wanted to change the flow, the outline of this journey, we have to make a new version. So that is what we're going to do. We're going to go edit this task. And yeah, creating a record, that's fine. This here, this is the one thing that I skipped yesterday, associating this task with an object. So assign to the person in the journey. Now by selecting this, we are thereby associating the task with the lead object, because the data source that we're using is the lead object for this journey. So, but if you wanted to associate it with something else, you have this option here. You can associate it with a contact or a lead, right? So we're going with assign to the person in the journey, and we'll save. So that was the bit I missed yesterday. Everything else can stay the same. You know what? Just so we can clearly differentiate, I'll put some text in here. So we've changed the name of the activity slightly. So we'll be able to differentiate once this new task is created. So we've made that change. We've saved. We're going to validate. And then I'll have one of the records in the CRM triggered to come into this journey. And then I will go through any questions in the chat. So the validation went through. We're happy with the journey. We want it to be activated. Okay. So while that's happening, let's go take a look in our data extension. So that's the data extension from our journey. There are 5 records in there, yes? So we're going to, let's go trigger a new lead record to go into this journey. So who should we select? So we've got, how about Greg? Let's see, is Greg in today? If he is, yeah, good. Greg, how's it going? You're going to be triggered into our journey. So for Greg to meet the criteria to enter the journey, we need to update this field on his record. So we'll start by taking that out and just putting it back in. And by so doing, Greg meets the entry criterion and he is going to get pulled into our data extension. Right now, there are 5 records. Greg should get pulled in to be number 6. So there you have it. He did get pulled in because he met the entry criteria, which is whenever any record is created or updated, that's requirement number 1. Requirement number 2 is the email address field is not empty, which is, in other words, as shown here, the email address is set or was set. So Greg should get pulled into version 3 of our journey. So version 1 and 2 are finishing. No new records will get pulled into version 1 or 2 because those two versions are no longer running. Well, they're still running, but only running for those already inside of the journey. Version 3 is the only version that's going to accept new entries. So as you see here, that's version 3. We've got one entry, and that one entry should be Greg. So Greg, please let us know once you get this email. And we know you will get it, but what we're more interested in is this task being created. What we're interested in seeing is the task being created and being associated with your lead record. So where we expect to see that task is somewhere on this section of the page. So see that? That's how it was supposed to work yesterday. The task has been created. So if we go, just step back into this. So we see he came in, he got the email, the task got created, now he's in the waiting period. And when we come to Greg's lead record, on the activities section, we see the task right there. So the task should be assigned to the integration user. So that's what we expected to see yesterday. So, and it is assigned to the integration user. So just wanted to showcase that to you guys, just so you know that when you do it properly, it works. I just missed this step yesterday. And thank you to those who helped with the troubleshooting of yesterday's task. And of course, you can also see this task on the tasks tab. It's difficult to say task in plural. Tasks tab. All right, so that's that. Let's get to your questions, starting with, thank you, Greg. Starting with Robert's question, reminder about my mobile connect question from yesterday. Just remind us, what is the question? Please come off mute and state the question. Robert, you should be able to unmute yourself now. And perhaps you're not ready yet. Okay, let me know once you're ready. I will unmute you. So, moving into, just before we, well, we're not going to move away from Journey Builder, but just before I move on to the slides for troubleshooting issues in Journey Builder, are there any questions, comments, thoughts, concerns on anything you've seen inside of Journey Builder, either using Salesforce data as your entry source or using a data extension as your entry source? Any questions on any of these elements or any of these setup that we did for either of these two journeys? All right, well, you can always bring those questions up as we go. So let's talk about some common issues you might come across in Journey Builder and how to troubleshoot them. Okay. So problem number one. So let's say you create a data extension. So let me just read the problem to you. My data extension is missing from the selector menu in Journey Builder. So the system's not allowing me to create a new journey entry source. In other words, you create a new journey. Let's say you create a new journey, you select data extension as your entry source. But you come here to select your data extension. Let's say your data extension is saved in this folder. Let's say this is where your data extension is saved, but you're unable to see your data extension to select it. What could be the reason why you're unable to see your data extension and unable to select it, even though you know it exists? Can anyone figure out why this will be happening? That's what this first typical issue that people run into with Journey Builder we're going to talk about today. It's not. Yeah, we'll come back to you, Robert. So can anyone figure out why an existing data extension is unable to be selected from this view? So let's try and demonstrate it to you. Let's go to my folder. So let's see, I have how many records here? No, not this one. Let's just find, yeah, this is no, not this one. Let's find something else. So let's go with this one. So we go with this data extension. I've got 7,000 records in this data extension. And I want to use this data extension. So I can see it from here. It's the one called Italian Wines. It's got 7,000 records. If I want to select that data extension to use it in my journey, why is it that I come to this folder where the data extension is saved, but I do not see it listed here? But from here, I can see it. I can see that data extension from here. But inside of Journey Builder, I'm unable to see it. I'm unable to select it. Does anyone know why that's the case? Okay. That's correct. Sendable equals no. Used for sending a set to no. That's correct. So that is the issue. If we switch it to yes by coming here, we should be able to see it. So let's test that theory. If we just switch folders and come back, see that? We're able to see that data extension because we've changed one thing, which is this setting here. All right, so that's a very common one. It's not a cause for panic. So if it happens to you, just go check to make sure this is set to yes. And of course, that's just one thing you need to do. You also need to check when you do select it, you need to make sure your data extension has an email address or else you won't be able to use it. So for example, if I select this one, sure, I'm able to select it here. I can go next, I could go done. But when the time comes to save and validate, I'm going to get an error message because there is no email address field in this data extension. All right, so that's another thing to keep in mind. So that's the answer. I just capture the answer here and I capture how to resolve it in there. Moving on. So next question. My journey is working, or my journey was working, but now it's throwing errors in certain areas telling me I need to configure activities that were already configured. So let's say, let me see, how can I rephrase this? You've created a journey, it's working, and then you decide to create a new version. So let's quit without saving. Let's go pick one of our existing journeys. So let's say you created version 1 and 2, they were working, and then you're getting an error when you try to validate version 3. What could be the reason for that? It's telling you need to configure some activities that you already configured in the past. What could be a potential reason for that error message? This one is not as easy to figure out. Okay, in the absence of any suggested answers, I will tell you what the answer is. So this is an error you might get if you rename or remove or delete a data extension. So I can demonstrate this to you. But if you rename something, most especially your data extension, you're going to get an error when you try making changes to or try validating your change. So let's try and demonstrate that. So I have this data extension called October 10th. Let's go rename it. Let's see. Okay, so it's here. So let's say I rename this data extension. Right now it's called October 10th. Let's call it October 12th. Yes? And we're just going to step out of this and where is it? We'll come back into the journey. We'll go to our version 3. And now let's see. Let's validate, see if we get any errors. It may not. Oh. So that's not the error I was looking for. Actually, the name reflects here, so that's not going to trigger an error. But what could trigger this error that I'm talking about here is, let's say you move the data extension or you delete the data extension, that one for sure, you're going to get an error message. And then sometimes Journey Builder can be funny. Right now, it's not giving me an error message for this, but sometimes you will get an error after you change the name of an element. But just for some reason, today I'm not getting that error message. But anyways, if you do get an error message, just try and double check that your data extension has not been deleted, the name of your data extension has not been changed, because there might be upstream impacts to that change in the name. One example of such impacts will be, so I changed the name of this data extension. I have a query that's running and looking for the old name of this data extension. So let me show that query to you guys. The error message might not come in the journey. The error message might happen in Automation Studio inside of my query. So let's go take a look. Why is this taking so long? Okay, so let's go to Automation Studio. As you recall, this journey here is powered by the automation of the same name. So October 10th automation. So if we go find that automation, it's under this, and here's the automation that's powering that journey. In my query, what I have in there, so let's go to my query. It's this one. Right here. See, my query says find these fields from this source data extension and copy the results into this data extension. If I run this query now, I'm going to get an error message because the system is going to be looking for a data extension with this name. And it no longer exists because I changed the name from October 10th to October 12th. So these are things to keep in mind when you're making some changes. There might be downstream impacts to some of what you've set up in the beginning. So you're not disallowed from changing the name. If you're going to change the name here, you just have to come here and also make the update. So if I wanted this query to work without any errors, I'll just need to come back here. See, it still says October 10th. So I'll just need to come back into this query and go reselect my data extension. So see, the highlighted section still shows October 10th, but I'm going to reselect my data extension with the updated name, go next, go finish. And now if I run this query, I shouldn't get any issues. All right. So these are some things to keep in mind. It's fine if you make changes to the name of your elements or the things you're using inside Marketing Cloud, but just keep in mind, you need to make sure the name matches in every automation or every journey so you don't get an unwanted error message. If we change the field name in a D that is being used in a split, the field name, yes, you could get an error for that too, because just like we will get an error for the changed name of the data extension. So yes, you could get a validation error in your journey if you change the name of a field. So the example Robert is sharing is if we change the name, let's say we change this first name from first space name to no space, just first name with no space. And we're using that field in a decision split. Will that give us an error? Yes, it will. All right. So to avoid it, you need to come into the decision split and update your field name just so you don't have to deal with that error. All right. So Robert, you could come off mute now. Let's just, before we get any further, let's address your question from the one you put in.
Yeah. My question from yesterday was, if you want us to be able to on our project to connect to from Marketing Cloud to a connector in our playground. And I wasn't sure if we were doing that with this Marketing Cloud to our playground, or are we just writing it down? Because if we do it to this, it's going to disconnect.
Can you rephrase your question? I'm not sure I understand it.
My apologies. It's been a long day. There is, on your project that you provided us, one of the things you want us to do is make a mobile connection between Marketing Cloud and Sales Cloud. Where do we do that? So, because if we do it here, we're gonna disconnect you, aren't we? Or can we do multiples?
Right. So this is what Michael had brought up previously also. And the way we've done it with previous cohorts is to have the class administrator or the class managers or the session managers from Blackforce create a schedule, and everyone in the class is assigned, I'm not sure what it is, an hour or two or something. You're assigned a time block when you can go in and go through the Marketing Cloud Connect integration process using this Marketing Cloud account and your sandbox. It could be your developer org or your sandbox, whatever it is. But of course, we don't expect everybody to be trying to do this integration at the same time. So that's why a schedule is going to be created for you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So, all right, we'll keep it moving. Let's move on to, let's see, the next thing you might run into. So here's a potential problem with updating live emails. So you've updated an email that's being used in a journey that's live, so a running journey interaction. But now all of the contacts in the journey are still getting the old version of that email. let's paint that picture for you guys. So what journey is this? Let's go use this one. So this journey is live and running. Yes, version 3 is live and running. And the email in this journey is the one called the October 11th email. Yes. Now let's go find that email message. So this is me explaining the problem or a potential problem to you guys. So this is the email inside of that journey. October 11th, October 11th. Let's say I go into this email and I make a change to this email. So let's say I change some text or I add some image. Let's see, we miss you. All right, let's say I make some change. We say, we do not miss you. Let's say that's the change I've made to the email. Yes? So I've made that change. I've saved the email. The email's up to date. But people coming into the journey, they're coming in and they're still getting the old text from the email. So the email they're receiving still says, we miss you. It doesn't say we do not miss you. Why would this be happening, even though I've updated this email message? Why is that change, the addition of this text, why is that not reflecting in here? Now, the people I want to answer this question are the newer folks, people like Robert or Ogochukwu or some of the other guys who are more experienced might know the answer to this, but I want to give the newer folks the opportunity to learn and also figure this out. So why would such an issue arise? I've made changes to my email message. I've saved it, but the people coming into this journey are still getting the old version of the email. Why would that happen? Can anyone answer that question? That's what this problem here is describing. And if you didn't get the question, let me know. I can rephrase it just so you understand what I'm asking. Activation. No, Uduak. The journey is live and running, so there's nothing to activate. So as you see here, the journey is running. People are coming in and they're getting this old email that doesn't say, so the email they're getting says, we miss you. It's not saying we do not miss you. All right, so it's not an activation problem because the journey is already active. There's nothing to activate. Anyone else? Okay. Let's see. All right. Now, how about the more experienced folks? You're open to answer that question now. So Ogochukwu, Robert, anyone else who is more experienced and wants to answer this question, please go ahead. Okay, let's unmute you, Ogo.
Okay, even if you change the messaging, email content, you still need to tweak that journey. So you may likely want to first that journey or create a new version to change the email messaging so that the new members can get it.
Okay. All right. Robert, do you have an opinion on this? Please share your opinion.
Yes. So when you make a new content and you add an email into a journey, the journey makes a snapshot of that email. So it's not the physical email that you have in your content folder. It makes a snapshot of it. So you need to republish it by opening up the journey and then selecting done. So when you open the email within the journey and select done, it makes a republish of that email and therefore updates it.
Thank you both. So I'll demonstrate what Robert just explained. So we made text changes here, but it's not showing up in the journey yet. For this text changes or any changes whatsoever you make to an email message, for those changes to reflect in your journey, you need to, well, from here, you can't do anything. So if you click on the email, you can't make any changes here. You can't update the email. So you need to create a new version. All right? You create a new version, but that's not all. Creating a new version doesn't automatically refresh the email. So when you create a new version, you need to come into the body of the message from Journey Builder, and then you need to go select that email again, just so you have peace of mind. So I'm not sure if you guys can read the text from here, but I can see the updated text is showing up here, but it doesn't always happen. So what I'd recommend is you select the email again, you go here, and you go select the message one more time. All right, so that's our message. We go, I think that's the right message. So yeah, it's this one. So we select it, summary, and then done. So by so doing, or by doing it this way, you've selected the updated message, or you've gotten Journey Builder to take an updated snapshot of the email message. All right, and then you save and validate and activate. And everyone who comes into version 4 will start to receive your updated message that says, "We do not miss you." All right, that's how to update your email in a journey. All right, so Robert, are you going to say something?
Yes, and that's the way I've been doing it forever, and 99% of the times it works. I just discovered that 1% time that it doesn't work is for whatever reason your browser slows down, because Marketing Cloud takes up a lot of resources. And the support person I spoke with suggested that to always, if it happens again, like to switch over and do the trigger email portion of it. So if you go to the email studio and go to interactions, there's a trigger email section, and you would check the box for that email. So in the system, so it'll be in your journey, right? So
okay, let's find your journey. So here's our journey. Let's find, what's our journey called? October 11th. So October 11th, but we're on version 4.
Whichever one is active is the one that would be, because you want to be updating the one that's active, which is version 3.
Right. But
so here's your one that's in there, and you wanted to update this. So what you'd have to do is you'd check the box, you'd have to pause it, and then once you've paused it, you're supposed to be able to republish it again. I'm not sure why republish isn't coming up.
Okay, let's just refresh the page. Let's go to version 2, and then we'll come back to version 3. Okay,
there you go. Select it and publish changes. And then after you do that, you restart it. So select the box again and restart it. And basically, that's the same thing as opening it up in Journey Builder and hitting done. That's what it's doing. So if you come across that problem where you've made the change and it still hasn't made, somehow your browser somehow just memory or whatever, she couldn't really explain to me why, but it just can happen. She said if it starts to happen to you, then best thing to do is to do it that way, the long way.
Hey, thank you for sharing that. So, folks, this just goes to emphasize what I've mentioned before. There's usually more than one way to do some things in Marketing Cloud. All right, so do not get stuck on the one way that you've probably seen me do it or seen others do it. There's probably more than one way to get to the result you need to get to. Okay, let's see. Yes, and yeah, that's correct. So for peace of mind, what I tend to do is what I demonstrated to you guys. I'll create a new version, I'll click on the email, I'll go select that updated message where I can see a preview of the message and I can see the changes that I've made. So I'll go select it from here and make sure I've selected the updated version. This method that we walk through here via the triggered send, that can also work, but this one helps me sleep better at night. All right, so that's what I'd go with. Moving on to the next problem. Let's see. Yeah, so I have some explanations in there about how to update the live email. Okay. Problem number next. I'm trying to inject contacts into an active journey, but they are not all entering the interaction or entering the journey as expected, and no errors are recorded. What could be the issue? So you're trying to inject contacts into a journey. Let's say whichever your data, your entry source is, you're doing all the right things. People are supposed to be entering the journey, but for some reason they're not entering. What could be the result of that or the reason for that? Okay, this one a bit more advanced. So the answer is there are likely no new records in your source data extension. So there might just be no new people who meet that criteria to enter your journey. So for example, if let's go back to the version of this journey that's still running. So version 3 is what's running. If I'm expecting, so I'm looking at this journey, I know version 3 is running, but I'm only seeing one entry. And I'm wondering, why is there only one entry? There should be more than one entry. Well, the reason why we're only seeing one entry is because only one record from our CRM has met that criteria. So no new record has met that criteria. No new record has come into our journey data extension, which is this one. Right there. No new record has met the criteria to come in here, hence why this is still showing up as one entry. Right? So sometimes the problem is, sometimes there's actually no problem. It's just the problem is your expectation. That's what this here is all about. So there might be no new records who meet the criteria to come into the journey. So you might just be looking for what does not exist. So there's also this topic of the high watermark. It's not often you come across it. And I think if you want the best explanation for what this is, you should read up on it on the Salesforce website. So I'll just put the link in there for you. It's not a common issue, but I leave it in the slides just because you might, let's see, you might see it as an answer or as an option during one of your exams, but the chances of that are very low. Can find any. Yeah, it's not something you're going to come across very often, but you can probably just find stuff about it online. So it's not something to worry about. Moving on to, okay, next problem or next potential problem. You've injected contacts into a journey, but they're not going down the correct path. All right? So you've put people into this journey. They're supposed to go down one of, let's say, two paths, but they're not going down the correct path from your decision split. Or they're receiving an email that does not contain the right personalization. Actually, I should split this into two questions. But let's go with the first half. You put people into a journey, but they're going down the wrong path. So let's paint a picture for you. This doesn't have a decision split. This one does. So, okay, version 2 is running. So let's say we put people into this journey. We expect them to go down this path, the one below, right? Because there are only two options here. You either go down this path or you go down this one. So the people we expect to go down the non-Gmail path are suddenly going down the Gmail path. What could be the reason for that? And this is something that I talked about, I think, yesterday or on Tuesday. Check your filters. Yes, that is the potential reason. So it's usually got to do with what you set up in your decision split. So you'll have to come in and check here to make sure you're looking for the right thing. All right? So if you did not set this bit up correctly, so right here, if you did not set it up correctly in this section, this is what will lead to people going down the wrong path instead of the right path. All right, that's usually what happens here. So this is also why on day one of the Journey Builder class, I said there are a few things you need to do. First, you have to plan your journey. You need to know where your data is coming from. And then you build your journey and then you test it, test and continuously improve it. So once you've put those principles in place, you'll be able to prevent some of these common problems. All right. And then another thing is keep your journey simple. It's easy for anybody to build a journey with 25 emails and 10 decision splits and make it really complex and large. Anybody with access to Marketing Cloud can do that. But it takes, I guess, takes experience for you to know that keeping it simple is the way to go. All right? Don't build big, unruly journeys. Build small, manageable journeys. All right? There's no limit to the number of journeys you can create. So keep your journeys relatively small or medium-sized so that you can easily fix any issues that come up inside of these journeys. Because when you make it too big and too complex, then you increase the likelihood for issues, right? So let's see, what's the next problem? Okay, this is a common problem, and I also talked about this one. So you've built the outline of your journey, and when you delete one of your decision splits, the entire journey canvas and all paths after the split get removed. let me demonstrate this one. So let's say this is the journey I'm building. Let me make this a bit more unruly. Let's just make it big. Let's put that here. All right. And let's say this was our journey. And then I'm going to add some more random stuff. Put that here, and you see how big this is getting now, right? And then I add another decision split. So see, the journey gets this big, but how do you view it? So down here at the bottom right corner, you can zoom out to get a better view of your journey. All right, you can always zoom out or zoom in, or you could just go back to the regular view, clicking on that. So, but what I wanted to demonstrate is this. So you've built this journey, you've configured all of these gray elements, but you're just thinking, you know what? I want to get rid of this decision split. I don't need this one. Or you know what? This decision split here, I don't think I need it. I just want people to come in, get the email, and just go down this path. I don't want this decision split anymore. So you go ahead, but you still want people to, you want the task created, you want them to come here, and you want the engagement split. You just don't want this one element here. You don't want this anymore. And you say, you know what, I'm just going to delete that. And this happens, your whole journey gets deleted. How do you avoid that result? So you don't want this element, this decision split anymore. You still want all of this, but you don't want this bit anymore. How do you get rid of this decision split, but keep everything after it? So everything on this part. Does anyone have, anyone except Ogochukwu and Robert know the answer to that question? And let me just, so let's say this was our journey. This is simple journey. You want to keep everything here. So you want to keep the engagement split, this 2-minute wait, the task. You want to keep everything, but you don't want this decision split. So how do you delete the decision split without losing all of these components? Okay, somebody was listening. Move it to the end before the exit, before deleting it. That is the answer. So you can move it. Let's see, let us, if you're unable to move it to the end, just like you see now, what you can do is move everything behind it forward. So we can move this forward. We can move that forward. We can move our engagement split forward. And then this decision split is now close to the end where it will not have any impact if we delete it. So now we can get rid of it by deleting it. And I still get to keep all the other elements that I want to use. All right, so that's how you get rid of a component that you're not interested in using without losing your whole journey, right? So it's just a little simple problem, but if you didn't know how to fix it, it could be frustrating. So let's see. What are some best practices we can share with you guys? Okay, so these are some best practices. I'll go over them quick. You can always read this in your own time. So this here just gives you a bit of a guideline when it comes to deciding what solution to use. If you should use Journey Builder or if you should use Automation Studio, all right? Because sometimes what you're trying to solve for can be done in Automation Studio only. Sometimes you can just build an automation, set it and forget it. You can do that sometimes. And sometimes what you need to do is best accomplished using Journey Builder. So how do you know when to use which one? And sometimes you have to use both. You have to use a combination of Journey Builder and Automation Studio. But here are some guidelines. If you're building a customer interaction that's going to warrant continuous testing and improving, then go Journey Builder. All right. So if you're going to be tweaking this interaction, this journey, or this experience you're building, then go Journey Builder. Automation Studio is more of a set it and forget it, more for simple, straightforward processes. Processes such as, such as the file drop thing that we set up. Where was that? I think that was it. Yeah. So a simple process such as this one, where a file is arriving somewhere, you want to import it, you want an email sent. You want an email sent after that import is done, and that's the end of it. Something that's this straightforward, where you don't need to check for something like we do here with a decision split or with an engagement split. So if that's what you need to build, you can do that using just Automation Studio. But if what you're building requires continuously fine-tuning stuff, then Journey Builder is best suited for stuff like that. Okay, so, and of course, as you've come to learn, Journey Builder is more visually appealing compared to Automation Studio. That's just quite simple. So additional tips for you guys when you're building and testing your journeys, like you saw me do, the wait periods, you should set them to minutes, because by default, when you add a wait period, by default, the wait period is 1 day. Okay, so let me demonstrate that to you. I want to quit without saving. Let's say I was creating a new journey and I say, okay, I want people to come in and I want them to go through a decision split. See what happens here. The wait period by default is 1 day. So if I say I want them to get an email here, and then I want another email, by default, the wait periods are 1 day. So when you're doing your testing, you don't want to be waiting for a whole day after your first email to get a second email. So you can always change this to minutes. So you can make it as few minutes as possible, 2, 3, whatever. You just type the number in there, or you can select whatever number you want. All right. And you can always change the last one too. You can change it to whatever you need. All right. It's just a handy tip. Yeah, this is just more tips on testing. And then here, I'm just saying, try as much as possible in your testing phase to include all the data that is going to be needed when you launch your journey. So try as much as possible to replicate the experience that your audience, your customers are going to go through. Try and replicate that in your test. Okay, so the only part you shouldn't be replicating is the wait period. So if your actual journey is people come in, they get email number 1, they wait for 2 days. Instead of setting this as 2 days, you can set it as minutes, just so you can go through and get the next email, all right? But don't forget to, once you're done doing your test and you're happy with journey, when you're done with your journey and you're happy with all the results you've seen in your test, don't forget to change your wait periods back to what it's supposed to be. So if your actual live journey is supposed to mean people wait for 2 days, make sure you change this back to 2 days. All right, don't forget to change this because you don't want to launch a journey, have live data go through it, and people get several emails within minutes. That is a mistake that is easy to make. What else? Let's see. This one is optional. I'm going to talk about there. So that's the list of potential issues you might run into. Of course, that's not an exhaustive list. There are other issues you might run into, but these are the common ones. Now, we're going to switch gears and move into Contact Builder. Let's just make sure there are no hands up and no questions outstanding. Okay, I don't see any hands. I don't see any comments. All right, so switcheroo. Let's talk about Contact Builder. So this is an application inside of Marketing Cloud that allows you to do several things. And we will go through some of those things today. So, as usual, the slides will be a guideline just to make sure I don't miss anything. Most of our time will be spent inside of Marketing Cloud. So let's go to Contact Builder. So from the home page, to get to Contact Builder, you go to the Audience Builder tab and select Contact Builder. So among all of the things you can do in Contact Builder, one of those key things will be building your data schema for your Marketing Cloud account. All right. When it comes to Marketing Cloud, depending on what your data sources are, you can build a data schema inside Contact Builder so that you can use that data so you can connect different data sources or tables together, and then you can use these connected sources to build out segments, or to use these connected sources you can use them inside of your journeys as checkpoints for whatever it is you need. So let me put some flesh on what I just said. So I'll come back, I'll give you an exact scenario, but let's talk about this Ferris wheel you see here. What is this thing? Salesforce gives you the ability to communicate with your customers using different communication channels. Inside of Contact Builder, once you've built your data schema and you're using multiple channels, you can pull all the information about your contacts into one place so you get a 360-degree view of your contact records. So, excuse me, this here is supposed to be, now this is very old. This was before Salesforce had a CDP product, all right? But think of this like some sort of mini macro meta CDP, all right? That's what is called Data Designer. It just allows you to connect different data sources. And what this first wheel symbolizes is these smaller circles could be different data sources, and they all connect and show you a full picture of how you're relating with your contact, or all the information you have about your contact. So for example, if we had Mobile Studio configured and we were sending out messages, we were sending out text messages and push messages on the app, we'll be able to see all that engagement data, all that information, not the engagement, the record or the information about that contact from Mobile Connect. So from Mobile Push, from Mobile Connect, this here, predictive intelligence, this is more about data from Einstein that's been collected and pushed back into your contact records. And any other data sources that you have, you can bring them here and use that to create part of your data schema. So if we were going to create an additional data source to connect to what we already have. So let's say this Marketing Cloud account that we have right now, let's say it wasn't integrated with the CRM. Yeah, you'll come across lots of organizations that have Marketing Cloud but don't have a CRM. So let's say we had Marketing Cloud, we didn't have the CRM, all of our information was coming in from some data warehouse on a day-to-day basis, and it was getting pushed into a data extension. It's getting refreshed on a nightly basis into a data extension. We have our customer data or our employee data, we have our sales data, we have our purchases data, we have all these different data sources. We have them collected inside our Marketing Cloud as data extensions. So these tables, they're sitting individually. They're not connected yet. We can connect all of this information about our customers or our employees in this case. We can connect all these data tables together using Data Designer. So sticking with this example, so let's say this was sales data from our customers. These were some purchase data on wines they bought, and this is the actual customer data. How do we connect these three data extensions together? We can do that here. So let's say we were going to connect those three data extensions with data about our customers. What we'll do is create an attribute group. We'll call this attribute group. Let's say it's the it's like that. Sales and purchase data. So you can select whatever icon you want. We'll save that. And then from here, we can start to link these three data extensions together. But something you're already thinking about, or you should be thinking about when you're considering linking different data sources together or different data extensions together, is there a common field across each of these data extensions? Is there a field that we can use to tie all of this information together and tie it back to our contacts or our customers? That's a key requirement. So let's say we wanted to connect these three. Let's just check the box beside those three, right? Those are the three we want to connect. And I'm just checking these boxes so you can easily identify them, all right? So this is how we'll do it. We'll say, we're not creating a new one because they're already existing here. So we'll say link data extensions. So we'll come here and find the first one. So let's say the first one is this one. It has all my customer data, all right? I'll go find it. It's in, I think it's in the 2023 folder. Yeah, 2023. So, where is the 2023? Okay, so it's this one. called employee data made up organization, right? So I'm going to use that. So I need to make sure in this data extension, so let's say this was my actual customers, or you know what, we'll go with employees. Let's say we're a large organization such as Amazon or Walmart, and we use Marketing Cloud to communicate with our employees because we have 100,000 employees. So there are situations like that where organizations like that use Marketing Cloud to communicate with their employees. So let's say this was all of my employee data, yes? So I have all their information, their departments, all of that good stuff. And I have this right here, which is my unique identifier, the employee ID, right? So I have that, and that's going to be my key field to make this happen. So I'm using, so for any email I send inside of this account, I'm always making sure this is my unique identifier. This is my primary key, all right? So I'm going to select contact key and where is it? Employee ID. So I'm going to connect using those two fields. So I'll say done. So this is going to connect this data extension to the data in our all subscribers list. So this here, the contacts, this is information from your all subscribers list. So now I've connected my employee data extension to my all subscribers list, AKA contacts here, right? And I've made that connection based on my unique identifier. If I wanted to join another table to this, so the other table will be, let's say, my sales data and my wine purchases data. I can also do that. So I'll just click on this icon here and then go find the folder where this data extension is saved. So let's say the food sales one. What I need to make sure is there is a common field between this data extension and this data extension. So the code has to be something like the employee ID or something else that's equally a unique identifier. So in this case, because these are just random data sets, I don't actually have a common field on both sides, but let's say I did. Let's say the employee ID was the same as the other date. Let's say it was the same as this value. I can make this connection here, and I can keep building on this data schema to create as many connections with my data extensions as I want. The question I expect you guys to ask is, why do we need this? What's the why? What's the reason behind this? Why does this matter? Well, I'm glad you asked. Okay, so let's go ahead and just build this, and I'll come to that question about the why. And I'll answer that question with a use case. All right. So let's say, let's just add the third one, just for the sake of explaining this to you properly. So let's add this one. We don't have a unique identifier here. Let's say we did. Let's say it was this and sure, we'll go with that. Done. Okay, so we built this connection of 3 data extensions to our subscribers list. Why does this matter? How can we use this? How is this relevant? Well, there are two ways you can use this. One is you can use this to create a segment of people, and you can do that from here. So if we had done this join based on using unique identifiers that are common across all three data extensions, we will be able to create filtered data extensions. So say starting from here, I can create a filtered data extension that has information from those other two data extensions. Can't see it here, so perhaps I should use something more connected. Let's try. I need more data for this. For you guys to really get this one, I need to give you more data. Okay, I said there were two potential use cases for this. Use case number one is to create a filter data extension that uses a combination of data from table number one and table number two and table number three. You'll be able to see those additional tables from any of these three. The second use case for this is in Journey Builder. So we built this data relationship. If we wanted to check, so let's say we built a journey and we wanted to check to see what was the last wine that my customer purchased? Was it from a specific country? If it was from Italy, then we want to send them down this path. And if it was from France, we want to send them down this path. We can use this data relationship. We can access data from this table, which was previously not joined to these other tables. We can access this data via a decision split. So this is how we'll access it. We'll have our decision split. Yeah. We'll go into the decision split. We'll click on edit. And then instead of selecting journey data, we'll select contact data. And then we could go find that data relationship we just built. We called it the customer sales and purchase data relationship. So let's go find that. Hold up, I even saved it. Yeah, it should be saved. So it's the customer sales and purchase. Yeah, so that's the one right there. Let's see if we can see it from here. All right, we'll probably need to refresh to see it. So let's just refresh this window. So let's start over. So let's say we've got our journey, yeah, and then we've got a decision split. We want to use data from this newly created data schema that we've created. Where's our customer? Okay. We should be able to access it from here. I'm not sure why we don't see it. Step back a little bit. Let's see what I missed. We need to connect this data relationship. We need to connect it with our journey data extension. So right now, these three separate data extensions, we can connect them to our journey data extension. When we do that, we will be able to access the data from here for decision split. So let's go select first of all, let's connect it to one of our journey date extensions. So let's say this one. Which one did we use? October 11. No, not that. Sure, let's use the September 2021. Let's use that one. This one I'm not sure. Let's keep this simple. I'm going to disconnect this and then change what I'm doing. So folks, this will make sense in a minute. Just let me connect to my journey date extension. Save that. Okay, so we have email address here. Yeah, so let's start with our journey date extension instead. So, okay, so we'll start linking with our journey date extension. And we're going to use the September 2021 data extension. So let's go with that. So we use this and that and say done. And then we'll connect it to one of the journey data extensions. So we will connect that to the employee data one. Okay, so it's not. And this. Right. So let's say this was our initial data schema. All right. So we got information here. We've connected to our data extension for the journey. We should be able to access it in a decision split. So let's go select the September 2021 data extension. Okay, that's the one. Let's say done. Now, let's go to our decision split. We will select contact data. And I will set. Now this is saved, yes. Okay, so I'll say it here. Let's see if we can access it. Now that, not from here. Some reason it's not showing up. Yeah. We want contact data, not. I need to just refresh the browser. So discard, save, and refresh. While that's refreshing, let's see. Yes, that's correct. So that's a third use case. You can create queries based on this relationship. So you can access information. So you know how when you're creating a query, you use an inner join, outer join, those sort of joins. That's what this joins I'm making here. That's what that allows you to do. All right. So once you build this sort of relationship, you can access this information from both tables using a query. So that's the answer to your question, Michael. So, but I won't dwell on this. Okay, so customer sales and purchase data, that's the one. See, customer sales and purchase data. Now it's showing up. So my journey data extension is the one called September 21, right? I can access fields in this data extension, the one called September 21. So I can access fields from here and use them in my decision split. Or because I have connected this data extension to this data extension, I can access fields from here too and use them in my decision split. So that's what that relationship allows me to do. So if I wanted to access fields from this other data extension, I simply click here and see now, I can see all these fields and I can use them in my decision split. So I can say, let's say this was a journey where I want to send people of different genders, excuse me, down different paths, right? So if gender equals male, we want you to go down this path. If gender, well, let's just say there were two genders, right? I know this is not politically correct, but let's say there were just two. If gender equals male, I want you to go down this path. If gender equals female, I want you to go down the other path. So this relationship that I've created here between my journey data extension and another third-party data extension that has data that I want to use inside of my journey, this is accessible from the decision split. And the field I'm using here is from that other data extension. So when I hover my mouse over that field name, you see this slight pop-up in orange. It gives me the path for that data or for that field. Yes, Michael.
So now you've kind of caught my attention here. And
Sure
I think this is very interesting because I was thinking that, in my opinion, I feel like this is one way to have your entry source as a multi-DE, right? So you're not limited to just using one DE, but you are literally using the attribute group to combine multiple DEs, right? Based on the data set.
So I won't say you're using multi-data extensions as your entry source. You still need to use one data extension as your entry source, but you can use a different data extension for your decision split. That's what.
Thanks for clarifying that. That's right. So because this is all in the decision split.
Correct.
So, but like you said, this is like another notch up when you are planning, because like you were trying to connect these Ds now and you started realizing you don't have the mutual, the common fields, right? So
exactly.
Yeah. So all that needs to go into, your Ds.
Your planning stage.
Your planning and all that. Yeah.
Correct.
And especially maybe you're on the job and you already have these data extensions, or maybe you have one and you now need to create another one in order to be able to get some other set of data. So you need to go off that one and all of that. Interesting. Now, it will be interesting to note that if you just chose fields that are not apples for apples, like you were doing products and employment,
correct.
What will happen? I'm sure something will not like something.
Of course, you're going to have issues because
no, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like I did. I had issues connecting them. Just even doing the connection, I had issues because I was not selecting a common field that was available on both sides. So if you even successfully connect these data extensions using the wrong field, when you get to this point, you're going to have issues. So you might end up bringing in a field, but it's checking for the wrong thing, and you're going to send people down the wrong path.
Yeah. The output of your query would just be messed up, really. So.
Correct. So yeah, but you get the gist.
Yeah. No, that's very good. Thank you.
No problem. So let's see. Does the data extension and data designer have to be sendable to access? No, it doesn't have to be sendable. So let's see. My employee data one, is it sendable? Well, sure, it's yes. Let's see, can we connect to, let's say I wanted to connect to the food sales one. That's not sendable. Let's say.
I think you did last time. Before you.
Yeah, I'm going to have the same issue because I don't have.
No, but it's just that you didn't have the fields, not that you couldn't connect it. It was visible.
I could connect it. Yeah.
Oh, you couldn't connect it?
I could connect
it.
But
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so it doesn't have to be sendable.
Right. So it doesn't have to be sendable. That's the short answer. I just wanted to demonstrate it to Robert. But short answer is it doesn't have to be sendable. So this use case or this attribute group is typically common with organizations that don't have, say, the CRM integrated with their marketing cloud. So they have all these data sources. So think of, let's use Walmart. They have all these stores in different parts of the country. They get point of sale data. So people swiping, making payments, purchasing all these products. They get all that information. Thousands of millions of records of data on a daily basis. They can have all that transaction information captured or updated in a data extension once a day, or let's say every hour. And then they have all their product SKU information. So they carry 100,000 items. They have all these product information in another data extension. And then they have promotion information in another data extension. And then they have, you get the gist. They have all these different data sets in these different data extensions. And they want to be able to use and build journeys where they can access these different data sets and send people down different paths based on these different data sets. That's a use case for something like this. All right. It's also doable and usable with organizations that do have the CRM integrated. Okay, so let's say we'll pick on Walmart again. They have the CRM. It's integrated with Marketing Cloud, but they still have some data that doesn't sit in the CRM. Okay, not all of their data gets fed into the CRM. Some of that POS data is from some data warehouse. We get to push it into Marketing Cloud, into data extensions. They can still use this sort of attribute group to connect data from the CRM with data from their POS and use that data or those data points for a decision split to check for something, to send people down one path or the other. Okay? So while we're still on the topic of data schemas and such, with this relationship, you can run queries and check for stuff from here and here. All right, you can do an inner join and outer join, that sort of thing. In addition, there's a back end of Marketing Cloud that has data, mostly engagement data, that's only accessible via SQL. And that's what these data views are. They're back-end tables that hold engagement data. And this engagement data is housed in sort of a similar data schema. So this here, and I'll share this link with you. This here is a visual representation of what that data schema for data views, which is those back-end tables in Marketing Cloud. This is what that looks like. So I'm going to zoom in just so you see it much better. So just as we see here, there's a data view for all sorts of information. There's data view on journeys, on automations, on bounces, on complaints, on opens, on clicks. There's a data view for these different data points. Those are what you see here. So there's a data view for unsubscribes, for business units, for jobs, for sent, for opens, for clicks. And all of these tables are connected to the contacts record. So there's also tables for if you use the mobile channel, so Mobile Connect, you send text messages, you send SMS, there are tables here in the back end that also all connects to the contacts record. So the point or the takeaway for you guys is when you build, so this data schema is in the back end. You can only access it via queries. So you can write the query to find everybody who you sent a specific email. So in your query, you're going to say, find me everybody from the sent data view, or find me everybody from the opens data view, or from the clicks data view. You can write a query where you're doing a join between these backend tables and the data attribute that you've created using your organization's data. All right? This right now, this is very deep. This is going into developer architect territory of Marketing Cloud. This is not, it's not within the scope of this course. This is not introductory level content, but I think it's still useful for you guys to know about this and to know at least the elementary information about the data schema inside of Marketing Cloud. All right, so this here, I will put in the chat so you can access it. And then I'll also put the data views information. So these are things that you can learn about and access via Contact Builder. So that's one of the purposes that Contact Builder as an application serves inside of Marketing Cloud. All right, that's just one thing that it does. Another thing that it does, which brings us to the next tab. So all the stuff we just talked about for the last 15, 20 minutes, that was just Data Designer. All right. The other thing you can do inside Contact Builder is see all your contacts. So when we say contacts inside of Marketing Cloud, this is referring to, in simple terms, it's referring to all the people that you have communicated with via, either communicated with or brought into the account and communicated with via different communication channels. So we've got our all subscribers list. The all subscribers list is the backend table that the system checks against whenever you're sending out any email message. All right, so whenever you send out any email, the system is going to check on the all subscribers list. Is this person active? If they are, let the email go through. If they're held or bounced or unsubscribed, it will exclude them. But the all subscribers list does this or serves as a watchdog only for email messages. All right. If you're sending a text message to someone who has opted out of text messages, the system is not checking the all subscribers list. The all subscribers list only serves as a watchdog for email messages. All right. So you can't find much about mobile on the all subscribers list. But when you come here to the all contacts, this is where you can see everything about your contact records and the communication channels that they are open or closed to. You can get more of a robust 360-degree view of what the engagement with these contact records have been. So let's say, for example, this record. We want to learn more about this record. All we can learn from here, the all subscribers list, is just email-related engagement. But let's say we want to learn more about the other channels. We come to the all contacts. We can search for that record using the email address. And then we can click into it. And now, we can, at the top here, if you want to see email engagement with this record, we can see all of that here from the first email we've sent to them till date. If you want to see mobile engagement with this record, if there is any engagement, we will see that here too. All right. This is the difference between the all contacts and the all subscribers, right? It's the same records, the same contact records, but in the all contacts list, you can see engagement history from different communication channels. Okay. Now, I'm going to emphasize another point. The best practice when you're setting up Marketing Cloud and you plan to use different communication channels is to make sure you're not using a subscriber key that's tied to one communication channel, such as email address. You shouldn't be using email address as your unique identifier. You shouldn't be using email address as your primary key. You should be using something that's not tied to a communication channel, something such as an account number, a SIN number, something else, or something such as your contact ID. Because when you have your contact ID as your primary key, you can get all that information put together on this one contact, right? So a contact that uses a unique identifier doesn't lead to duplicate records, all right? So if you're going into the consulting part and you're going to be helping clients implement Sales Cloud, Marketing Cloud, ideally, if you can help it, if you're working on a multi-cloud implementation, make sure they've implemented the CRM first. All right? Make sure they've implemented the CRM first. They've got their contact records or leads, all of that inside the CRM. And then implement Marketing Cloud next, and then do the integration. The reason why you want to do the CRM first is so that when you do the integration and they start to send out emails, they are using the primary key, the right primary key, which is the contact ID as their unique identifier inside of Marketing Cloud, not email address. Because if you do an implementation where you implement Marketing Cloud first, and then a few months or a few years down the line, you now implement the CRM, and then you integrate both systems, you're going to have some issues. All right? One of those issues is you're going to have duplicate records. And when you do have duplicate records, Salesforce, the company, will charge you for exceeding whatever your contact limit is. All right. This is probably too much details for you guys, but I have to tell you this. This is stuff that I come across all the time. And this is stuff that generates revenue for consulting firms. This is a bunch of mistakes that clients, even though consulting firms most times advise them not to, but they insist on doing. So anyways, long rant. If you're going to do a multi-cloud implementation, do the CRM first and do Marketing Cloud after, and then do the integration, then bring the data in and make sure you're using contact ID or lead ID as your unique identifier, not phone number, not email address, not device ID. All right. So high watermark. Sure, let's find that. High watermark. So I think, yeah, there's a good explanation here. You can go down that rabbit hole. So let's keep it moving. More about the all contacts list. This here, this number here. So I'll step back a bit. When you purchase Marketing Cloud, in your purchase agreement, there'll be somewhere in there that says what your limit is. So the number of contacts you've paid for inside of your Marketing Cloud account. So there's usually a limit, and it's in your purchase agreement. It's just like when you purchased a phone plan, you get a data limit. You either get 20 gig or 50 gig or 100 gig. You get some sort of limit. When you exceed that limit, sometimes your phone provider will send you, maybe when you're at 95%, they'll send you a text message saying, hey, you're about to exceed your data limit. Same thing here with Marketing Cloud. When you get to your limit, Salesforce would not send you an automated message saying, hey, you've almost hit your limit for all contacts. Your account executive might reach out to you and say, hey, you guys have exceeded your limits. Do you want to purchase more, or do you want to manage your data much better? All right. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. Sometimes the reminder you'll get is an invoice showing that you've exceeded your limit, so they're charging you extra. But the point is, if you're the Marketing Cloud administrator for your organization, you need to keep an eye on this section, all right? And you need to know what that limit is, okay? So that's another thing you can do inside the all contacts, all right? And then the third thing you can do from the all contacts list is deletion, contact deletion. So if you needed to delete a record from a Marketing Cloud account, you can do it from here. You're best doing it from here. If you do the deletion from the all subscribers list, you're just deleting the record from this list. They still will be inside of the account. All right, so to delete them out of the account, you need to do it from here. So if we go back to my example, let's say I wanted to delete, so a bunch of them. Let's say I wanted to delete this record. I could do it from here. I should do it from here rather than from here, the all subscribers list. All right, that's another thing you could do from the all contacts tab. So moving on, the next tab is your data sources tab. So from here, you can integrate your Marketing Cloud account with other data sources. So let's say you wanted to integrate with some custom, I don't know, some data lake or something. You could probably or let's say you wanted to integrate with the CDP, let's say the Salesforce CDP, you can add that data source from here. So you just come to custom and add that data source from here. And then you'll need to do some things from the CDP end of things. But if you click on the synchronized tab, this shows you the CRM that you've integrated the Marketing Cloud account with. So what we see here, this Manifest Company Inc. CRM, that's this one, all right? So if you wanted to change what objects we bring in, what fields on what objects we bring in, this is where we come to set that up. If you wanted to add additional objects, this is where we come to do it, okay? And if we wanted to change the frequency of our data update, this is where we come to do it. So the highest frequency you get is every 15 minutes. If you wanted to make it every hour, you could come change it here. Once this loads, you can select every 30 minutes or every hour. All right. So what else can you do from Contact Builder? Well, you can access data extensions. So folks, what's the difference between accessing data extensions from Contact Builder? So let me pull up this same data extension. So the one called September 21, I can see it from here, but I can also see it from here. Now, what's the difference between viewing this data extension from here and viewing it from here? Same data extension, same number of records. What's the difference between viewing it from here and viewing it from here? I think I've mentioned this before, but can anyone recall? And it's fine if you can't, I will tell you. Okay, thank you. It is editable from Contact Builder. So see here, I can add a record to the data extension. So I can do that from Contact Builder, but from here, I cannot add a single record manually to this data extension. So let me quickly demonstrate that. So let's Dave. So I just added this sample record into this data extension. And if I step back and just have this reloaded, you'll be able to see that record. See? So that's what accessing data extensions from Contact Builder allows you to do. And of course, you can also delete individual records or the whole data extension from here, right? So if I wanted to get rid of that, sure. So that record, sample person, should be deleted. So if we refresh, and it's gone, all right? So that's another thing you can do from Contact Builder. What else can you do from Contact Builder? Imports. So you can do data imports from here if you need to. You can import into a data extension from here, or you can just go to the data extension and do your import from here. All right. So why is it like this? Well, this is why I keep saying sometimes you can do things in more than one way inside of Marketing Cloud. All right, you just have options. There are different routes to get to the same result for some things, not for everything. All right, so you can do data imports from here into data extensions or into lists. And then if you were going to do a contact deletion, you could set that up from here. all right? If you wanted to enable the feature of deleting records, you just need to turn this on and you can delete records. And then the last tab, this just shows you if you're running a contact deletion process, from this tab, you can get sort of a report on that deletion process, all right? That's what this allows you to see. So those are the things you could do inside of Contact Builder. Let's breeze through the slides to make sure I did not miss anything. Okay. So this is just to emphasize that the data you see here from Email Studio is the same data you see in those data extensions from Contact Builder. All right, it's not like a second version of the data sits in Contact Builder or the data was migrated into Contact Builder. It's the same records. It's just a different view. All right, so think of it this way. You can look into a house from the front door, or you can look into the same house from one of the windows. That's what this here is. All right, that's what the message on this slide is letting you know. So this just tells you more about contacts inside of Marketing Cloud. And this just gives you a visual representation of that data schema or attribute group that I tried to explain. And then this just gives you those different tabs inside of Contact Builder. Let's see, did I miss anything? Yeah, this just tells you more about things you could do from Contact Builder. And then it's just some additional context on how you can use those attribute groups. So you can read up on this, and this just is step-by-step directions on how to create an attribute group. So that's linking data extensions. Then I tried to put some notes on what you need to make sure you have to get that done. And then different kinds of relationships you can have, one-to-many, one-to-one. Let's see, is there any key information that I missed? Okay, I think I covered it all. The slides are there for your reference. So, yes, go ahead, Dr. Let's reach you.
Okay, my question is on contact deletion using the configuration settings in your contact builder. So you turn it on, for instance, and you just wanted to delete about just a few records in your contact list. Do you stand any risk if you don't turn it off? Because I know there's a caveat on Salesforce resources that it will delete. You have to be careful with that configuration. But from your experience, do you think you should? Is there a time duration for you to, for you to note when you're turning it on, so you can quickly turn it off? You don't just go and delete other records in your account.
Is there a time duration? No. So
yeah.
There's no time duration. It really depends on what you're trying to achieve. So if you're looking to delete a few records from your account, sure, go ahead, turn it on, do your deletion. So let's say, for example, I wanted to delete one record. Let's go find that record. Let's say it was LevOps 11. I wanted to delete this record. I go through with the deletion, this record disappears, and then what I should do next is come back and turn this off once I'm done with my deletion. That's the ideal thing to do. All right? Because why not? You're done deleting, turn it off. Why leave it on? What's your case for leaving it on?
So I don't have a case for leaving it on. I haven't done that before, but I'm supposed to do that. So I don't know if there are any risk I should note, so I don't, you're trying to just delete a few records and then you don't end up deleting the entire account, which is what I'm trying to avoid.
No. So okay, so to make sure you don't delete the entire account, you have to, this is beyond the scope of the class, but if you're going to delete a few records, you have to pull those records together into some data extensions. So let's say these are the 5 records I want to delete. You need to make sure you isolate those 5 records into a data extension, and then you go through your deletion process where the automation is pointed at this data extension and these records. The automation deletes these records, and you see it successfully happen by looking here at your contact analytics. It says, okay, these 5 records were deleted. Once you've seen that, you should go back and turn it off. But I think your fear of deleting all records in the account can be allayed by making sure you properly isolate the specific records you want to delete. All right? And as with everything else, you need to test first. So create some sample records, run through your process, see that those sample records were successfully deleted before you do it for your actual live records that you want to get rid of. Okay, so let's take the this is beyond that. Text me. Let's take Robert's question. But you could text me a question. I will do my best to answer it. So Robert, please go ahead. We've got 1 minute.
Okay. Is there a way to schedule deletion? So use case, somebody wants to use Marketing Cloud to send emails, but it's not necessarily a group of people that I want to count against my contacts, but they want to send it just so they can see the person has opened it, received it. Is there a way to schedule that either the contacts and or the data extension gets cleared?
Yes. So the contact deletion process can be scheduled using an automation. So it's a combination of several things. Typically, when I do it, I build an automation. So I'll have an automation. Let's go to Automation Studio. So I'll have an automation with several activities. So activity number 1, let's say this was my automation. Activity number 1 will be a query to find all the people that I want to delete, put them into a data extension. Activity number 2 will be another query to collect all these records that I want to delete, keep them in an archival data extension so I can have a history of all the records that I've deleted. Activity number 3 will be the actual deletion activity, where the system will go select those 5 records, delete them from the all contacts list, and capture that action here as being in progress. And when it's done, it shows me that it's done in here. All right. It's a bit of it's quite a process.
Yeah.
Not too complicated, but doable. And
I've seen an option that I've never used when creating a data extension that says data retention policy, but I've never used it because I didn't understand it. Like when you're actually creating a data extension.
So that, okay.
The only way to see it is if you hit
time.
create. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're at time, and I think what you're referring to is something we could talk about tomorrow.
Okay.
So if I don't recall, please remind me. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Tomorrow's the last day. And if there are any other questions from day one that you guys have, bring them tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be open format. Answer all your questions. Make sure you leave this course with value. All right? That's what we promise to deliver. That's what we want to make sure you leave with. All right? Thank you for your patience, folks. We will convene tomorrow.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Good night.
Bye-bye.